created to have some fun together, sharing and singing. So, join and enjoy.
Our love for opera brings us together. Thanks for being with us in this trip.
Mado Robin. So, time to vote. Is that stratospheric note, art, acrobatics, or circus? My opinion is very clear. Circus. Katya, what is yours?
Circus.
Yeah, okay, we
I
finally
mean,
agreed.
I would if I could. I have to be honest. I would if I could, but that's the reason because of circus.
Yeah, you have to understand that that note is comes out of nowhere, and she does it just because she can. But
Yeah.
it is not even in the style of anything. So sorry for those who love that rendition and write many
It shouldn't
blogs on it.
exist, but it does.
Yeah, so we already voted on that. Let's jump and go back now to another gender. Let's go for the zarzuela. And maybe at this point, I should tell you that I am mentioning a couple of examples, but examples of this kind, there are dozens. Uh, it was many years when I tried to find, you may be aware of the duet Caballero del Alto Plumero that Duquesa Carolina and Javier sing in the very first act. Caballero del alto plumero, donde caminas tan pinturero. Ah. So you may be aware of that melody, right? And at the end, I recall that I had already heard a couple of recordings, and I remember the two singers going for a high note. And so the very first time I could put my hands metaphorically again on the score, and I saw that the high note is written just for the male voice. I always thought that the note was for Carolina and that the tenor, because tenors sometimes have their egos, wanted to go along with her on the high note. But it's the opposite. The note is written for the tenor and not for Carolina. She's, in fact, the one going for a note that is not written. So when they both sing de aquel rosal and they go high, both of them go high, is it? Let's vote. Art, acrobatics, or circus? Since it is a soprano, I know that Katya's opinion will be biased. So, but why don't I ask you first? What do you think about both of going for the high note?
Oh my god. I think that I would uh, think about another option like ego or something. I mean, it's beyond circles.
Okay, so not in the scale that we are presenting.
No.
But can you picture a soprano who says, I can, but I won't, because it is written. I will just let the tenor show off. I cannot think
No,
of any
that's not
soprano.
gonna happen.
That will never. I think there is a recording. I don't recall who the singers are, but I think I recall the soprano just going for a lower note, which of course she was not very happy of doing. But maybe the director said, we are going to sing it as written. But it also feels like it loses the excitement. Because, and I wonder if I had Maestro Moreno Torroba, I would ask him, why is the high note only for the tenor when the two of them are actually singing together? I even think it is anticlimactic to let him go Rosal only for him and the soprano Rosal. That's weird. Um, the soprano going for that note, for me, it's just acrobatics. She wants to show that she has a note.
I think so. I think so. And it makes sense that both of the voices are reaching a high note. It makes sense. So I think it as art, but acrobatics.
Okay, then let's take another example for voting. Let's keep another example from the zarzuela. We are talking about keeping a high note, but also let me see. This is not a good example because this is going to be very polemic. Let me look for another example. Yeah, let's take Bella Enamorada. Bella Enamorada, which has been very famous in the voice mainly of José Carreras and Plácido Domingo. Bella Enamorada, con tu imagen sueño, tarararara, tarararara. Of course, not that ugly that I did, just to remind you of the words. But at the end, when you have to wrap up the note or the melody, it is it feels like there is something missing. So depending on the mood of Carreras, or depending on the mood of Domingo, or depending on the mood of any singer, everybody wraps up the song differently. From something absolutely horrible from my perspective that doesn't even go with the style because the melody is like very calm. Bella enamorada, con tu imagen sueño y un amor dichoso busco para mí. So when you go with this melody, you feel at the end when say que ya no volverá. It goes something like this as written. But depending on the singer, many just go for the que ya no volverá. Like like it is an opera, like you're listening to Verismo, like it is an aria from Verismo, and that does not go with the style of Bella Enamorada. And others do not go for que, but just say que ya no volverá. You know, something like that. But from my perspective, doesn't even make sense with what is written. So, for the case of Bella Enamorada, that people know that no tenor seems to understand how to rap it, I wouldn't even say acrobatics. I could say it's a circus. It's so horrible the way it is usually ended that my vote has to vote for circus. What do you think, Katia?
Circus. I vote for circus because we have to sing. Yes, we like to. We love to show off what can we do. But we have to respect the styles. We can't sing everything as a competition or just a meal to show off my virtuosistic skills. So we have to respect the composer and we have to respect the music.
Yeah. So your vote is circus.
Circus.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We agree again. Let's mention a general case going back to the opera, and you may be aware of this one. The duo between Gilda and Rigoletto, Si Vendetta, Tremenda Vendetta. Question: is there a high note? I think that sopranos usually go for a D flat, if I recall well, something around a D flat. Because sopranos, hey, am I staying just at B? Of course not. I have to go higher. So even though that is not written, they usually go higher. I think it's a D. At this point in time, I really don't remember what the actual note is, but it is around the D. It is not even a C. It is higher than a C. Well,
yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, that note there, but that pushes the baritone to sing a higher note as well, because now it is Diego of the baritone. If this lady did it, I am not. Of course, I don't have a high C because I'm a baritone. I don't have those notes, but I am going to show the strength of maybe my G, or some baritones have a nice A. So you have to go you hear the soprano at the very end, and when the baritone says that the final part, the soprano all out of nowhere goes. I don't remember the note, so you may see whatever you think it is, right? And when she finishes, then the baritones go. The baritone goes for his high note, or something, whatever she comes up with, and that's how this ends. And people are really expect that sort of confrontation between the voice of the soprano, the daughter Gilda, and the father Rigoletto. But it is not written like that. And when singers don't sing it, people, the public, is like, they don't have the note. They were afraid. Maybe they are sick, you know? The tone or the mood now goes against them. For the case of Rigoletto's duet, you, of course, singing it with those stratospheric notes for each of the voices, of course, it is not art. I I think that is closer to a circus. What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. Acrobatics but circus.
If you were in Gilda singing with a baritone has been trying to make your life miserable for the past two acts, could you go for your high note?
I will always go for the high note. I will.
No matter how your partner on the stage is doing,
Sorry.
you will always go. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so those are the votes for that case. Let's go for
But
sure.
excuse me. I think that in some parts, these high notes can be justified or understood as angelic. So in that case,
I think that
it can be close to art and acrobatics,
I think
and
that
not as much
I,
circus.
I think that the main difference has to do with the good taste. Because if you're really into the role and you manage to transmit that desperation, because Gilda is desperate, because she's listening to Rigoletto threatening the life of the one that she loves, even though he raped her, she says she still loves him well. But if she's in that desperation and the soprano manages to convey that in her voice, you really buy it because all those high notes give you the desperation. But if you listen to her like singing the doll, going for the and then suddenly going for the much higher note just because, then it doesn't make sense. I think, from my perspective, maybe that would justify. And the baritone is also very mad. So when he listens to her yelling of desperation, defending him, I would understand the baritone also going very high, like, "Hey, I need revenge. Why are you still defending?" But I think that has to do with the ability to manage to convey those emotions.
Yeah, to express,
Yeah. Let's go
to
for
act, not just sing, but to act.
yes.
That's the key.
That's the key. And let's go for something lighter. Let's go for the musicals because the musicals, the operetta and the Napolitan music, they all share the same feeling that since I have shared in some other programs here in the same YouTube channel, that they are seen as minor genders, at least for operatic voices. So an opera singer may sing a musical operetta in Napolitan, not being that the key, but being that just part of his repertoire because his voice is made for much complicated roles as are expected from the opera. And it is true that voices that are not so trained may sing Napolitan or operetta or musicals. That is true. Not fully trained voices. But there is something that they like to do, and I need to confess it in front of people who might listen to this program or watch it. I don't like that, from my perspective, exaggeration that some trained voices from the opera, but mostly non-trained voices at the end of a song when they are about to give a high note or a long note, they make a pause. I have an example that I have the score over there. In the song I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night. I could have danced all night and still have begged for more. Da-da-da-da-da. At the end, and you say, I could have danced, danced, danced. The singer to make it a full expectation would exaggerate the last time she says dance, dance, make a pause for people to get ready for the note and says all night and goes for the note. That exaggeration of the last syllable of the word, then a pause, and then showing off with a high or a long note, I don't like it. And this is just an example because the music doesn't have that pause. You say, I could have dance, dance, dance. Of course, there is a minor pause in the singing just because of the reading. I could have dance, dance, dance all night. Immediately you go for the all night. No. It doesn't tell anywhere, stop, let all the instruments be silent, make a long pause until everybody. For me, it's too much theater, and for all those examples, when the singer exaggerates the last note or syllable, makes a pause to have expectation, for me, it's just a circus. Your thoughts?
For me, it is a little bit circus. I don't disagree as much as you do, but I don't like the exaggeration of it, of the pause. Like, stop everything. Tick tack, tick tack, tick, pam pam. Too much.
Of course, we need some air sometimes to recover the breath and prepare the note. But when we make it
Yeah.
like that is when I don't like it.
And
But
it anticipates and it creates expectation. And I think it's possible too, but not too much.
yeah, it has to do with that thin line. That is the name of our program. That thin line because doing it nice, and I'm just to show off that I can keep that note for 6 or 8 seconds. Well, now that we are getting too serious, why don't you share with us another of the pieces that you have prepared for today's? I know that you prepared
Sure.
something very nice. Why don't you tell us a little about
Hope you.
it?
Yeah. Okay. Um. Piangerò, piangerò la sorte mia. Si crudele e tanto rio finché vita in petto bru. Piangerò, piangerò la sorte mia, si crudele e tanto rio, piangerò la sorte mia, si crudele e tanto rio. Finché vita in petto bru, finché vita, finché vita in petto bru. And then we have B. And then we come back to A with variations. Excuse me a little bit. Piangerò, piangerò la sorte mia. Si crudele Secret et Antoria.
That is a very lovely piece.
I love it.
Yeah, I think, as I had shared with you in the past, we need more of that lovely music. And sometimes, and maybe to continue with the conversation, maybe two more examples before we wrap up. One for Mexican music, then I will take the very well known Granada, because with Granada, everybody does whatever it pleases him or her. In the orchestration, with the voice, with the notes, people do, and most of the times, not of a very good taste, which, from my perspective, would turn Granada into a circus. I was talking to a friend because he's so in love with that song. So, Granada, Granada, because of this and the power of the voice. When you say Granada, tierra soñada por mí, and I was telling him that as I was studying the score, I told him the song, in fact, it is very nice when sung properly. But since nobody sings it properly and everybody overdoes everything, everybody exaggerates, it ends up for people thinking that it is just Granada, tierra soñada por mí, tarara, tarara, tarara. But it is not even like tarara, tarara, tarara. It is, in fact, that section is very delicate in the score. Mi cantar se vuelve gitano cuando es para ti, very well accentuated with each of the notes very well written. But the things that we are usually listening to in Granada is just, from my perspective, mere circus. And I think I recall a recording from Franco Corelli. I don't know who advised him to sing Granada. He ends with a high C. So besides singing everything exaggerated, he goes sol. The singing a C in the phrase the sol. It's horrible. It's impressive, but musically it's horrible. If you listen to the version that they wrote for Pavarotti, it's as horrible as well, because it doesn't go with the style. He doesn't sing Spanish well, and so
You also, I remember how
yeah.
you mentioned.
So I think, for the case of Granada and the 99% of the cases, mere circus. What do you
I
think?
agree. I agree.
I would love so very much to listen to a rendition of Granada, the way it is written, taking out everything. Maybe at the end a high note, just to feel fine, but the rest of it, sing it with nice style, with the rhythm
Yeah,
that it requires.
I think that as singer you have to understand about respect in many different ways. Respect to the composer because he wrote an idea and you are just to perform and to communicate that idea. You can make it your own and you can put your personal seal on it, but it's it was music created by someone else and you have to respect the idea. You have to respect the style. Not everything is an aria. Not everything is opera. I hate, I have to say, I'm sorry if somebody loves it, but I hate this album named Christmas with the three tenors. Oh my God.
I have never heard it, and I'm sure I will never do.
Please don't ever buy or listen something like this. I mean, let's talk about a little example. We are on time. Silent Night or Noche de Paz in Mexico. You can't. I mean, I don't even know how to say it, but just think of it. Noche de paz, noche de amor, todo duerme de rest. Nothing sleeping. It's not. It's not silent. It's not Christmas.
And you know
So you have to respect the music and you have to respect the style.
and I'm not sure if I
And not many singers, or not all of singers, understand that part.
I'm not sure if
I
I
have to
shared
say
this anecdote with you in the past, and maybe we will be wrapping this with this anecdote. I was present at the anniversary of the Mexican tenor Jordi. I forgot his last name. Jordi. Oh, I don't deserve to live.
no, I don't get it.
Jordi, what's the name of this tenor? Sorry about that. He was a very famous tenor in the 70s and the 80s. So it was his anniversary. It was at Opus 94 5. And there were many people who were invited to attend because there was a live concert. And of course, at the end, everybody was invited to sing Las Mañanitas. So now think of all the, because there were mezzo, contralto, tenor himself, Jordi Ramiro. The name is Jordi Ramiro. Sorry, Maestro Ramiro, for forgetting your complete name. But many singers invited, many in the audience as well. And I remember that I had a countertenor and a mezzo by my side. And I remember that when everybody started, Estas son las mañanitas, said, what is that? And at the end,
Yeah.
everybody fighting to keep the last note as high or as long as possible. And you think, what is this? Is this a choir from what opera? These are not the Mañanitas. And at the end, everybody was clapping at each other, very satisfied for how they made out of the nice song Las Mañanitas a complete monster. I felt so ashamed for myself that day. But people were happy. That was absolute circus. Las Mañanitas is just to celebrate. I'm happy that you're here. Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba el rey David. La 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 la. You know. And well,
Nobody needs to know you're an opera singer in Las
Las
Mañanitas.
Mañanitas. No, nobody needs to know that.
No.
I know that day you were not on the stage, but nobody needed to know that you were by my side. Really. So I would like to thank Katya for today's time sharing this program. I had lots of fun planning and doing it. I hope you did too. And why don't we wrap up today's program with you sharing another case that you would like to propose for art, acrobatics, and circus?
Yeah. When we talk last program about cadenzas, for example, you have to check out different versions and see what matches more with your skills, but also with the style. Respect the style always. And I would like to sing the end of an aria by Gilda.
Our very well-known Gilda.
Oh, yes. Let me check, since
Sure.
the point I'm gonna take it because I was not prepared. That's the truth.
And we all know that since this is a live program, we may not always be ready. And also, I wanted to mention everybody, as we are having a tone in the conversation, to put yourself back into the mood of the music. So it may take several seconds. So that's pretty normal. If you're ready, we're ready. We are
I'm
not
ready.
singing, so.